Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. And Dynamite tonight, I thought it was a pretty good show, in my opinion. This was a really good show. Tonight, we saw Hangman and Paige. He ended up taking on Ricky Starks. We also saw Penta Miedo versus Trent of the Best Friends. We had two titles on the line tonight. We had Hikaru Shida defend the AEW Women's World Championship against Conti. And in the main event, we saw Darby Allin defend the TNT Championship against Jungle Boy of the Jurassic Express. And we also saw Christian Cage in action. He ended up taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. So overall, Dynamite was a good show tonight. So let's jump right into the Dynamite review. So Dynamite opened up tonight with Ricky Starks versus Hangman and Paige. And this was a very good match here. Very enjoyable match. We had Ricky Starks end up coming out along with Hook. Taz was on commentary with Tony Schiavone, JR, and Excalibur. So Paige is currently ranked at number 1 in the AEW rankings. So that's pretty good there. So the match started off with Paige ended up working on Ricky Starks' arm. He sent Starks to the apron, hit a springboard clothesline, and then Paige ended up delivering a splash to Ricky Starks on the outside. So Paige then ended up bringing Starks back into the ring. Paige ended up delivering a fallaway slam with the bridge, which Starks ended up smacking his way out of it. Starks ended up throwing Paige into the corner, delivered a forearm to Paige's spine, and at this part of the match was crazy here, where Paige ended up going for a German suplex, and Starks then landed on his feet, and then he ended up landing on his neck. And when he ended up landing on his neck, I was like, holy shit. So that was crazy to see. So we had Paige end up continuing to beat down on Starks, end up delivering a brainbuster to Starks, went for the cover. Starks ended up kicking out too. So we had Paige end up doing a fallaway slam and a lariat to Starks, went for the cover, and Starks ended up kicking out too. Starks was able to deliver a spear to Paige. Starks went for the cover, but Paige ended up kicking out of that. So at the end of the match, Hangman and Paige end up winning, end up locking in submission on Ricky Starks. So there you go. Hangman and Paige end up winning the match. Post-match, Taz got on the mic, and Taz ended up telling Paige that he just got lucky and that he needs to watch his back. So Hook ended up coming in, delivered a chop block to Paige, started delivering a bunch of kicks to Paige. So Paige ended up booting Hook away, and then Brian Cage ended up coming into the ring, and the Dark Order ended up chasing Team Taz out of the ring, and that was that. So overall, very good match, very enjoyable match between Starks and Hangman and Paige. And that spot that Starks ended up landing on his neck, that was absolutely crazy to see. And then we saw the Elite. The Elite ended up showing up in their private trailer, which was outside of the Daily's place. So the Elite had their own private trailer. So then we went to the second match of the night. It was Penta Miedo versus Trent of the Best Friends. And let me say this, tonight's Dynamite, we had no tag team matches. No tag team matches on Dynamite tonight. It was all just one-on-one matches that we got. They go a week without having a tag team match. Change it up a bit. But Penta ended up coming out along with Alex Abrahantes, who of course is the translator for Penta. And Trent ended up coming out along with Orange Cassidy. So Penta started off the match. He was taunting Trent. Trent ended up throwing some chops to Penta. Penta was out on the floor. Trent ended up looking to go to fly out of the ring and take out Penta, but he then got his foot pulled out to the floor by Penta and got sent into the barricade. Trent ended up going for a tornado DDT, and Penta ended up delivering a springboard crossbody and then a sling blade to Trent. Penta went for the cover, and Trent ended up kicking out 2. So they were trading back and forth shots. Trent was able to hit the swinging DDT to Penta. Penta then came back and delivered a Canadian Destroyer, and both Penta and Trent were down. So we had Trent end up delivering a running knee strike to Penta, went for the cover, which Penta ended up kicking out 2. Penta then delivered a backstabber, and he went for the cover, which Trent ended up kicking out 2. So Penta later on tried to go for a package pile driver, but Trent didn't let that happen, and so they were trading back and forth shots. Trent was able to hit a pile driver on Penta and also a spear. So Alex Abrahantes ended up getting on the mic, and he was saying, as what Penta was saying, so Alex Abrahantes translated what Penta was saying, and Alex was saying, Penta says, you suck. Your friends suck. And you know who sucks the most? Your mama. So that was the one of the highlights of the match here. So Alex Abrahantes ended up running off. Trent ended up getting a chair. Orange Cassidy then was shown hopping into the ring. And Penta ended up coming in, delivered a super kick to Orange Cassidy. So Alex Abrahantes ended up hitting Trent with the mic. And so that's when Penta came back, delivered the package pile driver to Trent. And there you go. Penta Miedo ended up winning the match. Thanks to Alex Abrahantes. So, but overall, this was a good match. It was an enjoyable match here. And then we had possibly one of my favorite segments of the night here, where we had Jim Ross, JR, and he ended up talking with the Pinnacle about the upcoming Blood and Guts match, which is going to be taking place on the May 5th edition of Dynamite. So I'm really looking forward to that match. I am hyped up for that match there. They said it's going to only take place for one night on Dynamite. So JR ends up bringing up Chris Jericho's promo, where he talked about the Pinnacle and also MJF. MJF ended up saying that he's been wearing the scarf since he was a kid. The scarf that he always wears. He's been wearing the scarf since he was a kid when he was on the Rosie O'Donnell show. And that he didn't steal it from Jericho. And yes, MJF was on the Rosie O'Donnell show. There's a clip here on YouTube. I guess you could type in MJF Rosie O'Donnell show and it will pop up. So you'll get to see MJF when he was a kid there. So MJF ended up saying that reminds him, it's springtime. So that means it's silk season. Wardlow ended up saying that Jericho stumbled a bit when he brought up his name. So Wardlow ended up saying because the moment that Jericho said his name, Jericho knew that he messed up. So then MJF ended up saying that Jericho gets an F about elevating other wrestlers. So Jericho has been elevating other wrestlers. You know, he's been in the business for this long. And it is good that, you know, Jericho is elevating these wrestlers, you know, to do good and hopefully, you know, be a big time star. You know? So MJF ended up saying that Jericho wrestles people the fans already see, and then say he's the reason why they're now popular. So MJF ended up mentioning, you know, other guys, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley. So MJF ended up saying that when Jericho was 25, he wasn't doing anything compared to him. So he ended up saying that Jericho was curtain jerking on WCW worldwide. So then MJF ended up saying that, you know, for Jericho to leave that stooge, Mike Tyson, home, and to let's have the two sides fight each other. He wanted to say that Jericho is right, that he is a mark, that MJF is a mark. But he's a mark for Jericho's spot. And he will take that on May 5th. And so MJF ended up saying, because when you're in the pinnacle, you're always on top. So that was the end of the other segment, but really good segment. And MJF cut a really intense, good promo here. But I enjoyed the hell out of this promo from the Pinnacle and MJF. So this is my favorite part of tonight's Dynamite. So then we had a video package that was hyping up Hikaru Shida and Tay Conti. Tay Conti ended up saying that she's nervous, but she's prepared for the opportunity to face Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship. So Hikaru Shida ended up saying that Tay Conti may be champion one day, but not tonight. So a little video package. And then we had the match, Hikaru Shida versus Tay Conti, AEW Women's World Championship on the line. This was a solid women's match here. The Dark Order end up heading out along with Tay Conti. So the match started off with Hikaru Shida end up delivering a boot to Tay Conti's midsection. Tay Conti end up delivering a forearm to the face to Hikaru Shida. And they were just going back and forth here. Tay Conti end up, again, a judo throw to Hikaru Shida. She then ended up throwing a knee to Hikaru Shida's jaw. And she also did a second one. Tay Conti went for the cover. Shida kicked out at 2. Tay Conti was looking to work on Hikaru Shida's arm and shoulder with the waist lock. Hikaru Shida ended up getting a foot to the rope to break the hold. So we had them going back and forth again. Hikaru Shida ended up throwing a knee to the back of Tay Conti's head. Shida then ended up bringing Tay Conti up to the second rope. This was later on in the match. She ended up delivering a deadlift suplex, but Tay Conti ended up coming right back up for a pump kick to Hikaru Shida. Tay Conti ended up delivering a clothesline that was followed by some judo throws to Hikaru Shida, and then a release German suplex. And at the end of the match, Hikaru Shida ended up getting the win. Hikaru Shida ended up delivering a backbreaker and a twisting kick to Tay Conti's face. So there you go. Hikaru Shida ended up winning the match, retaining the AEW Women's World Championship. Post-match, Britt Baker ended up coming out. Britt Baker ended up looking up at the rankings, which were on the screen, and it shows that Britt Baker moved from the second spot in the rankings to the first spot. So Britt Baker is now in the first spot in the AEW rankings for the woman. So Hikaru Shida ended up throwing her kendo stick at Britt Baker. So Britt Baker moved, and she ended up waving to Hikaru Shida, then headed to the back. So that was basically that. But overall, solid women's match for the title. I think it's time for Hikaru Shida to drop the title. Her title reign, in my opinion, has just been terrible. And there's only one woman who I would see that will probably win the AEW Women's World Championship from Hikaru Shida. And I know it's too early, and I said it before. I think the next person to be the AEW Women's World Champion is Jade Cargill. I think Jade Cargill is going to be the one to take the title off of Hikaru Shida. That's my prediction. That's my opinion. But, it's too early, since Jade Cargill just, came to AEW. So, she had that, she had her first match, tag with Shaq to take on Cody and Red Velvet. So we saw how impressive she was in that match. And we saw how impressive she was in a one-on-one match with Red Velvet. Jade Cargill, when you look at Jade Cargill, you see talent in her. You see her becoming a star and doing good in the women's division for AEW. So in my opinion, I think Jade Cargill is going to be the next one to win the AEW Women's World Championship. She's possibly going to take the title off of Hikaru Shida. I know it's, like I said, I know it's too early for that, but that's my prediction. If they're going to go all the way more in building up Jade Cargill. So, but that's what I got to say about that. I know some of you will disagree with me on that, but I possibly see that happening. So Miro ended up cutting a promo. Miro ended up saying that it's been another week and he hasn't seen Kip Sabian. He ended up saying that he wants some vindication, and anyone who has a championship, he's coming for them. Miro wanted to say that it doesn't matter if AEW puts him through a bunch of hoops. It's his destiny to become champion. So like I said, move Miro away from Kip Sabian. It's time for them to book Miro better. And in my opinion, I'm glad that Miro is away from Kip Sabian. I think it's time that AEW starts pushing this guy. And when you see Miro, you see him as championship material there. It's time to start booking this guy, better now that he's away from Kip Sabian. It's time to give Miro, build him up, and have him deserve a shot at any title, whether it's the World Championship or the World Tag Team Championship. If Miro decides to find a tag partner of his choosing. But it's time to start booking Miro better. So then we had Tony Schiavone. He was in the ring, and the Inner Circle ended up coming out. So Jericho ended up saying that there's a lot of energy tonight because of the upcoming Blood and Guts match. Jericho ended up saying that it will be one of the most brutal matches ever seen on TNT. So Jericho ended up talking about Mike Tyson when he knocked out Cash Wheeler last week. Jake Hager ended up saying that the Pinnacle will be sucking out a straw after they get done with him. So Jake Hager was shown throwing some straws. So Santana ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that the Pinnacle wants to wrestle the best, but they wait until there's a crew behind them before they actually fight. He ended up saying, where we come from, we call those bitch moves. So Jericho ended up saying that MJF talks a lot, but never feels any convictions in the words that he says. So Jericho ended up bringing up him singing show tunes, and he ended up saying that he wrote one for MJF. So Jericho ended up rounding off a few lines of the tune that he created. He was talking about how he gave MJF a swirly, and how MJF is a dipshit, which I thought was hilarious. So Jericho ended up saying that it's fun to make jokes, but on May 5th in the Blood and Guts match, there will be a lesson in violence. Jericho wanted to say that next week he wants a parlay between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. He ended up saying that he will beat the living hell out of MJF on May 5th, and that the Inner Circle will destroy the other group in the Pinnacle. So then we saw the Inner Circle. They ended up giving the camera the middle finger together, all them. So that's how the segment ended. But good segment here. It shows that Jericho and company are looking forward and are ready for the Blood and Guts match on May 5th against the Pinnacle on Dynamite. So there you go. And then we saw Anthony Ogogo. He ended up saying that he's only here in this dump to make that big money. So QT Marshall ended up saying that he's going to show Billy Gunn how much it's worth being loyal to Cody Rhodes. And so then we had the match. Billy Gunn versus QT Marshall. QT Marshall ended up coming out along with Nick Comoroto. And this was a pretty decent match here, where we had QT Marshall. He ended up making it to the stage. Billy Gunn immediately attacked both QT Marshall and Nick Comoroto. So Billy Gunn ended up beating the hell out of QT Marshall. He was whipping Marshall into the corner, and he knocked him out to the floor. Billy Gunn then ended up throwing Marshall into the barricade and into the apron, delivered a big power slam on QT Marshall. So we had Billy Gunn end up getting attacked from behind, and we saw QT Marshall in the ring. Billy Gunn ended up rolling back into the ring because he was thrown into the ring post by Nick Comoroto. QT Marshall ended up throwing some shots, and Billy Gunn was just, again, more annoyed. So QT Marshall ended up hitting a pile driver to Billy Gunn. QT Marshall went for the cover, and Billy Gunn ended up kicking out at 2. So we had QT Marshall. He was out on the stage. Billy Gunn ended up following QT on the stage. Gunn then ended up tossing Marshall back into the ring. Anthony Ogogo ended up running out. Anthony Ogogo ended up smashing Billy Gunn in the midsection, and QT Marshall ended up going over to Billy Gunn. QT Marshall ended up hitting the diamond cutter, and then he went for the cover, and there you go. QT Marshall ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a pretty decent match here, in my opinion. Post-match, we had Anthony Ogogo. He ended up giving QT Marshall a wooden chair. Marshall ended up going to hit Billy Gunn. And Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall's former tag team partner, ended up coming out. Dustin Rhodes had a bull rope in hand. He ended up smacking Marshall with it. Dustin ended up throwing a bunch of shots in the corner to QT Marshall, ended up hitting a spinning power slam. And Anthony Ogogo was just standing there. He was not helping. QT Marshall out. So Dustin ended up getting the chair, the wooden chair, and Anthony Ogogo ended up climbing up to the apron. Nick Comoroto ended up trying to attack Dustin from behind. Dustin then ended up swinging the chair over Nick Comoroto's head. It did nothing to Comoroto. So then we saw QT, Nick Comoroto, Anthony Ogogo. They ended up making their way to the back. And that was that. So then we saw the Elite. The Elite were hanging out in their private trailer. Don Callis was putting over everyone in the group. And he was saying that there's never been such a talented group together. So Callis then ended up mentioning that Kenny Omega will soon be the Impact World Champion. So Matt Jackson ended up saying that they are the reason that business went up in Japan and how they formed AEW. So the group is just laughing about Moxley and Eddie Kingston. They end up saying that they heard that Moxley and Kingston were back tonight. So then we had the group say that Moxley and Eddie Kingston should know where they are and for the both of them to come get them. So now we hear honking outside of the Elite's trailer. Kenny Omega was getting annoyed with all the honking, and he ended up telling the guys to figure out who is doing all this honking. So then we see a truck outside. Moxley and Kingston were in the truck, and they drive the truck straight into the Elite's trailer. Moxley and Kingston got out of the truck. Moxley had a pipe in hand. He ended up smashing the Elite's trailer. And Kingston was yelling out, "You think this is a game?" So Moxley and Kingston end up calling for all the Elite. And Moxley ended up saying that nobody is in the trailer. The Elite wasn't in the trailer. So the Elite ended up swerving Moxley and Kingston, and also us viewers at home, thinking that they were in this trailer, which they weren't. So Kingston ended up calling the Elite a bunch of cowards. And Moxley ended up saying, bitchy as fuck, or bitch as fuck. So, but that was that. But the Elite were missing in their trailer. They weren't even in that trailer. They set up Moxley and Kingston. And then we had Christian Cage versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs. And this was a pretty good match here. Taz was back on commentary for this match. Taz on commentary ended up saying that Team Taz is banned from ringside for this match because of what happened earlier in the night with Ricky Starks' match with Hangman and Paige. So the match started off with Christian getting thrown out to the ramp by Hobbs. Christian then came back, started delivering some shots to Hobbs. He ended up sending Hobbs out to the floor, delivered a diving drop kick. So Christian then ended up going out, and he got a big punch from Will Hobbs. Hobbs then ended up pulling the banner off of the barricade. He then grinded Christian's face into the barricade. And we had Hobbs end up stepping on Christian's midsection. He ended up going for a Vader bomb, which Christian ended up getting his feet up. So Christian ended up delivering another punch, and he ran into a spine buster from Hobbs, which Hobbs went for the cover, and Christian ended up kicking out too. At the end of the match, we had Christian end up winning, where He ended up hitting the kill switch. So there you go. Christian ended up winning the match. Overall, pretty decent, good match here. And then we had Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill ended up cutting a promo. She was saying that every manager is looking to sign with her. So Matt Hardy ended up saying that he liked to sign on for a small fee. And then Vicky Guerrero also ended up making her pitch to Jade Cargill. So Jade ended up saying that she doesn't need a manager, though. She's her own boss. I'm like, why would Jade Cargill need a manager? Jade Cargill, amazing as how she is in the ring, you don't see her having a manager by her side. She doesn't need one, like she said here. She ended up saying that if anybody wants to sign her, they better make a hell of a deal. Like I said, I don't think Jade Cargill needs a manager by how she is. But it was a pretty decent promo from Jade Cargill there. And then commentary, they end up going over what we're going to see next week on Dynamite. We're going to have the Pinnacle and Inner Circle parlay. Going to see Hangman and Paige versus Brian Cage. That should be a pretty good match there. We're going to have Penta El Miedo versus Orange Cassidy. The Allin, Chris Statlander, will be in action versus Penelope Ford. We're going to have the Young Bucks versus Matt and Mike Sydal in a title eliminator match. And then it's going to be the Nightmare Family. Billy Gunn, Dustin Rhodes, and Lee Johnson versus QT Marshall, Nick Comoroto, Aaron Solo, along with Anthony Ogogo, how they're known as the Factory. So that's all going to be taking place next week on Dynamite. And then we had the main event. Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy. Darby Allin ended up coming out along with Sting. Jungle Boy, of course, with Luchasaurus. This was a damn good main event here. The start of the match, we had Darby Allin and Jungle Boy end up locking up. They go at it into the corner. Darby Allin ended up delivering a leg sweep to Jungle Boy. Went for the cover. Jungle Boy kicked out at 2. Delivered a crucifix pin, Darby Allin to Jungle Boy. Darby Allin ended up delivering a side headlock. Jungle Boy was able to get some pins there for 2 counts. Jungle Boy had a wrist lock that was locked on to Darby Allin. Darby Allin then ended up trying to get to the ropes because Jungle Boy ended up trying to go for a snare trap. Darby Allin then ended up taking Jungle Boy down, started throwing a few punches. So we had both guys go out to the floor. Jungle Boy was delivering some chops, and then he got shoved into the ring post by Darby Allin. Jungle Boy ended up shoving Darby Allin, and both of them end up going over the railing out to the floor. So Darby Allin ended up delivering a stunner, over the top stunner to Jungle Boy. Went for the cover, which Jungle Boy kicked out at 2. So we had later on in the match, Jungle Boy delivered a big lariat to Darby Allin and a brainbuster. Delivered an elbow strike to the back of Darby Allin's head, which he went for the cover, which Darby ended up kicking out at 2. And at the end of the match, Jungle Boy was looking to go for the sunset flip. Darby Allin ended up countering the sunset flip, and he ended up delivering the Last Supper pin to Jungle Boy. And there you go. Darby Allin ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a pretty good match here. This was a damn good main event here. So there was a point where Luchasaurus ended up helping Jungle Boy into the ring. Sting then walked over to Luchasaurus to see what was happening. So Sting and Luchasaurus were fighting on the stage, and they made their way to the back. I thought that was pretty cool to see, seeing Luchasaurus and Sting just go at it, just battle it out. But post-match, we had Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. They end up attacking Darby Allin. Ethan Page ended up delivering a release powerbomb to Darby Allin. Lance Archer then ended up running out to the ring to deliver a double choke slam to Paige and Scorpio Sky. But Paige and Scorpio Sky end up delivering a low blow to Lance Archer, and they started beating him down. Sting then made his way back out to chase off Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. He was then pointing his bat at Paige and Scorpio Sky, and that was how Dynamite went off the air tonight. But overall, this was a good show tonight. This was an enjoyable Dynamite. And that Blood and Guts match on May 5th, it's going to deliver, and I can't wait to see it, with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. But anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all later.